Welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. If you are a sports bettor, this is the most important hour of your day because the number one sports consultant in America has brought his national radio show and podcast here to YouTube. So while you're here, go ahead and like and subscribe or download the podcast and listen on your schedule. And now, here is our host, the number one sports consultant in America, ready to make you money this week and every week, the Fat Jack.
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's the big time of the year. If you are a football fan, you've come to the right place because it's a great time of year to be listening to the show, great time of year to be signed up. We had another great week last week. We're going to talk about all that, get you ready for the big game coming up on Sunday, next Sunday, and ready to make some money as we head into 2023 and beyond. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. We get this show underway because certainly have a lot we can talk about. I could sit here for an hour and just pat myself on the back. That's off-putting. It's my new thing. I mean, by the way, Brandon Rush from Louisville, Kentucky. Brandon, how are you?
There's the surface of the sun, Rihanna, and then you in terms of like the hottest things in the universe over the last month or so.
And that's the deal. Thank you for that. And you're right. It is one of those stretches, and this isn't unusual, but it's really enjoyable.
It's remarkable is what it is.
It is to have one of these stretches. Everything's posted and documented. So instead of me going through, I could go the numbers back basically till the start of 2023 after New Year's weekend. 24-3, 24-4 or something like that in football. Basketball is turning a huge profit, winning each and every week as we've gone through the NFL playoffs. I mean, it's just been one of those stretches. You look at the results and it's win, and a couple of losses. It's one of those deals. But my new thing is to say that people's personality is off-putting.
Okay.
Not everybody, but some people. Like I'll meet somebody and I'll say, their personality is a little bit off-putting. And so what I don't want to do is go through the next hour and people who tune into the show for the first time either think, hey, this guy's got to be a liar because nobody's that hot. Nobody wins that much.
Sure.
Or frankly, just be his personality super off-putting. I mean, there's a number of the people that think that anyway, so I don't want to add to that list.
Sure. Simply
because we're just bragging the entire time about how hot we are. I mean, we're not losing. I'm not losing. I mean, even the close games, and we're going to talk about Cincinnati, Kansas City last week, because I know that is everybody wants to talk about that. And then certainly look forward to the Super Bowl coming up. We're going to talk about some trends for the big game, some different prop bets, some ways you can make money having nothing to do with who wins. We're going to do all of that as we lead up to the big game coming up on Sunday. But I don't know how much time exactly to spend. Let's start with the hoops a week ago. Hoops were 5-0 over the weekend. Swept the board. 4-0 on Saturday, 1-0 on Sunday. I mean, just on a 15-4 run or something like that over the week prior to that. Leading up to this week, we're still turning a great profit at hoops. A great time to get signed up for that because you're going to save a ton of money versus waiting until after the Super Bowl. If you wait, you're going to pay more. That's how it goes. Prices go up on all these packages as we get into the spring. Baseball season will not be available for free once we get into March, so you want to add that now. And frankly, you want to save about $300 or $400 versus waiting until even when the March Madness tournament starts by signing up now. And a lot of those packages you're paying as little as $100 a month or less for basketball. So, and definitely you don't want to wait till August if you're listening to this show because you're going to pay about $800 more to sign up for exactly the same thing. Go to fatjacksports.com, sign up today and win. You're like, Jack, well, there's no football left. I only play football. Well, there is a game left. It's a game we've hit 9 of the last 10 years. Prop bets have been killing it in the Super Bowl week every year. You get a predicted final score, best bets for the game, top prop bets, all that's included for only $99. So add basketball, very inexpensive, works out to about $5-6 a day for hoops. So if you're playing even $25 a game, you can make a lot of money betting on hoops as well. Brandon, let's look back at the conference championship games before we get too much further into this, and give me your thoughts. What do you think happened? Were you surprised by it? What do you think?
I wasn't really necessarily surprised, especially by the Philly-San Francisco game. Obviously, the Brock Purdy injury really kind of put a different feel to that game, and they just didn't have any way to claw back out of a hole that they were already in. And then to see them just not have a fight late in that game was kind of surprising. But at the same time, I mean, Kyle Shanahan still refuses, I think, to manage mid-game changes. And we have a curveball like that coming. He didn't have an answer for it. The Kansas City Cincinnati game was entertaining. I loved that it started slow, changed a couple field goals. Then it was just haymaker after haymaker, and it became a game of who was going to make the last mistake. Because with Burrow and Mahomes that they're going to make the plays. It's just who was going to give up or cause the mistake to give the other team the win. And honestly, a lot of people are going to be dogging on the kid from Cincinnati for the late hit out of bounds, saying that was the reason they lost the game. And there's a lot of people who we both know who are been banging a drum for that being a soft penalty or something along those lines. Let's not forget the Kansas City still had 8 seconds left and a timeout and Patrick Mahomes. They were going to win that game once they got across midfield. It was over. But I was not surprised by the results.
So much to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is that I again I want to be able to fit my head through the door, but besides the outcomes, I was absolutely 100% correct in everything we talked about last week, and I talked about all over the country and on the TV show about the games. I mean, it could not have been more dialed in. Basically, Philly was better than San Francisco.
Yep.
San Francisco needed to play from the lead or do the things they had been doing. They've been playing inferior competition as a favorite for basically 2.5 months. They had to continue that to beat the step up in talent that they were going to have to play when they had to go across the country, play on the road at Philadelphia with a quarterback who was unproven in certain situations. Was the game decided because Brock Purdy went out? Possibly.
It didn't hurt.
Because they have a much better opportunity to play from in front with Brock Purdy than they do if he's not in the game.
Yeah.
And they made some key mistakes against a team that was better than them anyway the minute he went out. Johnson, or with a quarterback, he made a ton of mistakes. So it basically took something that I would tell you this. If they played again, and I always look at this after the fact, if these two teams played 10 times, what would happen? I would take Philly over San Francisco every single time. I think they were better. I think they were going to win. Now, it might have been by a field goal.
Right.
Because it was competitive before he got hurt. So I'm not, but I absolutely would never play San Francisco, even with a healthy Brock Purdy. But absolutely. Now, our picks, people want to know, go back that way. We had Philadelphia, easy winner, was our selection for the weekend. We had an opinion on the over. Well, that's out the window the minute Purdy goes down because everybody goes into a conservative game plan. Let's just run the ball. They can't go 80 yards on our defense, blah, blah. That bet was lost the minute Purdy went out.
But the props.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like I say, it's how much do you brag? How much do we brag? I mean, I released 5 prop bets for the game that went out for free to every single client. Those were Operation Clean Sweep. Every one of them won. I had guys parlaying the prop bets, guys turning $50 into $2,000, $100 into $4,000. I had a guy put $500 into $20,000. Parlaying the prop. Nobody ever said parlay the prop bets.
No,
I never.
No. The text said, these are extra and free. Please play them with caution. And what did we do? Play round robin parlay.
Roll them in together for $5. That's what somebody got out of that. That's what happens when you have thousands of clients. People have a lot of interpretations of what you send out, and good for them. And with 5-0, they swept the board. So everybody made money in the first game. Even if you weren't able to play the props, you made money because we had a selection opinion. The selection won, the opinion lost because the quarterback went out. So, and honestly, the quarterback going out helped some of those props win. I had under in yards with Brock Purdy. That was an easy winner when he's not playing.
Yeah, Jawan Jennings receiving yards under, which when you can't complete a pass makes it really hard for a receiving total to go over.
Exactly. So a little bit of luck there for sure. An easy winning start to Saturday. By the way, fun day. We were 4-0 on Saturday in basketball as well, so we were deep into profit. And this is on the heels of a 13-1 run. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The other game it ended the way I thought it was going to end. Free pick. If you follow us on Twitter, go to @FatJackSports. Follow us on Twitter. The free winner was Kansas City. I said to everybody in every station, including on the TV show, that these were two very evenly matched teams, that it would come down to mistakes. Whoever made the fewest amount of mistakes was going to win. It was by far the hardest game to pick of the 4 sides and totals. By far the hardest. I said all that a number of times on the show. That the better play was on the under. I would take the under again. every time I take the under. These two teams have a tough – it was all about – and, I don't love Tony Romo, but I think he did a really good job of pointing out that this game was going to be decided on who was the most effective at stopping the other team in the red zone. That is an important part of it. Both those teams did a good job of stopping the other in the red zone. Patrick Mahomes' ankle doesn't help totals go over for sure. He did, I will tell you, my only 2 losses in those prop bets, 3-2 in those prop bets, were both Patrick Mahomes related. I had over in touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns. It was over 2.5 at plus 160. And then I had under 280 yards. He went to 310 or so, 315, something like that. So we went 8-2 at the prop bets. I'm not hearing as much I'm hearing rigged, fixed game. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from people that are seemingly normal people.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that the Bengals fans who feel that they got jobbed because this is rigged, even though so much was lining up for them to kind of be the Cinderella team, they're now going to have to cheer for the Eagles in the Super Bowl to continue the rigged scenario. Because if the Eagles go and win, that means that the Bengals legitimately lost, and that will just totally go against their narrative. So yeah, there's a lot of people banging that drum for sure.
Yeah, they have to cheer for Kansas City, because if it was rigged for Kansas City to get to that game, then it would be rigged for Kansas City to get the next game. So they have to cheer for the team that it was rigged. By the way, that is ridiculous. If you're out there and you think that the game, you're absolutely is ridiculous. Now, were there some questionable calls? I wouldn't even say bad calls. There were a couple of bad calls, maybe one bad call. There were some questionable calls.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, and Brandon, this comes from somebody who I didn't care if Kansas City won or not. It was the one game, the one team that I didn't put any money on.
Right.
So I don't really feel like I have, and I like I say, Zach Taylor went to the same high school as us. We talked about that last week. I don't have I don't hate one team or another. I know a couple guys on both teams that played for both teams before. So Jonathan Hayes, very good friend of ours. He coached for the Bengals for a long time. So I don't really care either way. But if you are one of those that out there is pushing that narrative, and by the way, one of my best friends in the world is pushing that narrative, and he's a complete idiot. I mean, he's just a complete.
You know what? We've all got one.
Oh, I have at least one. I surround myself with people that are just totally insane or have personalities that would make you think they're insane. This guy's 100%. By the way, he's a Broncos fan, so he hates Chiefs. So he's pretty sure that if you're a Broncos fan, you got to hate the Chiefs. So he's pretty sure the Chiefs it was fixed. All that. He's run down that rabbit hole. I think he also thinks we've never landed on the moon. There's no telling.
Have you asked him?
I won't.
Okay.
I won't. You can ask him. Okay. He'll be in Vegas next week. You go ahead and ask him yourself.
Not even, hey, how you doing? What do you think about the moon landing?
Yeah. What's that? That seems a little sketch. That thing was black and white. I'm not sure. I saw a little mouse running there in the background of that flag. That whole thing. Yes. Yeah. See where that takes you, because that's always fun with him. But it was not fixed at all. There were some questionable calls, but honestly, if you look at them individually, there were a couple that were tough calls, but the intentional grounding was intentional grounding. People want to say there's a receiver there. There was not a receiver there. It was 5 linemen. The receiver was 10 yards down the field. They're comparing it to the grounding that Mahomes did. That's not that. Kelsey basically caught the ball in a bounce. I mean, totally different. One probably was intentional grounding, but a really tough call. The other was not. The late hit out of bounds was a late hit out of bounds. Now, was it egregious? No, but that we've seen that all year long. You can't even look at a quarterback the wrong way,
especially a former MVP.
Right? I mean, and it wouldn't even matter. And he goes sliding into the bench. The quarterbacks do a good job of making they're flopping into the bench and rolling into the crowd. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it was late. It was a late hit. He did hit him late. So if you're the official and you don't call that, I think you're getting a ton of heat the other way, because it was late. He was clearly out of bounds.
Sure. And that ends up on like a performance review. The one that was really weird was when they just randomly replayed the second down, where they were like, "Oh, well, we weren't ready." Well, get ready. Like, it's your job.
What happened is the official started the clock. They did explain this literally 10 minutes later after a couple more controversial calls that happened. They started the clock when they weren't supposed to start. They were supposed to start the play clock, not the game clock.
Right.
And they did show a picture of an official running in, waving his arms and blowing his whistle. And at Arrowhead, you can't hear that anyway.
No.
It just seemed sketch, for sure. It seemed weird. But if you look at them individually, there wasn't anything that that was rigged or that was not right. All of them, including a couple of the holding. They had a couple of defensive holding penalties. They were defensive holding. I mean, were they close? Does it happen every play? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what we don't remember, Brandon, what people want to forget, is the holding penalty at the first touchdown that was taken off the board by the Chiefs. That was very similar to the holding call that they called that, and then they called one the other way later in the game when the guy basically worked across the face of the offensive lineman. He kind of hooked him under the shoulder pads, grabbed him a little bit. May have made the difference, maybe not, probably did, though. And they end up taking it off the board. Kansas City has to settle for a field goal. So nothing's rigged. A lot of bad plays and a lot of bad play by Cincinnati when they basically were breaking rules. And yeah, the one at the end, I mean, it'd be really hard for me if my son or my best friend or somebody had done that, hit the quarterback out of bounds, to look him in the eye and not say, you know better than that.
Exactly.
You have to be better than that in that spot. So not rigged. Yeah, it went our way on, I guess the free play didn't matter at all. We had an unbelievably great weekend again. We're going to do it again this week. Go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today and win. Matchup overall going into the big game coming up. Are you excited about it? Are you not? Would you have rather seen any other combination? I mean, what are your thoughts on the game?
I firmly am happy with the matchup. You get two teams who, I mean, we're getting number one seeds. I mean, I think a lot of people are forgetting the fact that both these teams were the top seeds going into the playoffs, which
are in the buys. They didn't have to play the first game. It worked like it was supposed to.
Exactly. And this hasn't happened for a very long time. So, I mean, with the run that the Eagles have had this year, the sustained success that the Chiefs have had over the last few years, the storylines with you get Kelsey versus Kelsey, Andy Reid against his former team, you get a psychopath in Nick Sirianni. I mean, this is storyline central for a game. Two black quarterbacks facing off against each other. I mean, this is a great matchup, I think. And and the fact that it came out when the lines opened was a pick 'em. It really kind of, I think, shows that this is a pretty balanced and a pretty fair championship game.
Before we go to break, I'm going to just pat myself on the back again.
Hey, Eagles 23-1 preseason back in August.
Gave it to everybody, sent the email out, sent the text out, talked about it on every station. You even have to sign up for the service to get the Eagles. You got Arizona and you got Philadelphia, both to win the Super Bowl. One at 30-1, one at 23 or 25-1, depending on when you got it. Mm-hmm. A lot of players played that back then. They are free rolling for the second year in a row after I gave the Rams out last year. Philadelphia this year, I have $2K to win $50K if they win. I will not be sweating this game at all, no matter who wins.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna bet back the other side. Although I do, if you may put a gun in my head, I'm not going to switch sides. I mean, I think that I'm on the right team. But as far as matchups go, absolutely, the regular season did what it was supposed to do. You're supposed to be rewarded with a bye week if you're the best team in your conference.
Mm-hmm.
And those teams should have the easiest path to getting there. Now, that's been easy for Philly, was not easy for Kansas City, but the two best teams for what they did to the regular season, they're the ones playing in the game. The game's basically, and by the way, I said this last week, that if and when this, and I sent an email actually during the game. I started getting people saying, hey, I bet Philly with you back in August. What should I do about the game? And I said, well, it's probably going to open Philly a point favorite or so. I think it's going to probably be bet that way a little bit. I would bet back Kansas City 4 to 6 times what you bet on that futures bet, guarantee yourself a win. We're going to make money in the prop bets. There's most likely going to be a total that's going to be a selection. I'll just say that right now. I don't love the side. I don't love the fact that Philly has not been tested at all in the playoffs. And I do think Mahomes' ankle with 2 weeks is going to be much, much better than it was in 1 week. Very evenly matched matchup. Back to what we talked about last week. Fewest mistakes probably wins. I do think there's an advantage on the total, though. So we're going to give that out as well when you sign up at fatjacksports.com. Get signed up. If you're going into the weekend, definitely you can get the football for $99, but get everything. Get basketball too. Brandon said this last week. The week leading up to the Super Bowl and the week after, always really, really profitable with hoops. So even guys that don't typically like to play hoops, this is the time of year to go ahead and do that. It doesn't cost that much more. You can get a package going from today all the way through Super Bowl Sunday, and it's going to save you a lot of money to go a little bit longer than just getting the weekend. And you're going to get those basketball plays as well. The better bet is to go long term, get through March Madness, get through the NBA Finals, through the 2024 Super Bowl. You're going to pay so much less than half of what you would pay if you went weekly or even monthly. So that's the better deal. But add hoops down because they're going to win. They're going to get you into profit. You'll see that you don't even need to watch the games. Just bet them, go about your life, and then watch your bank account grow really month in and month out until we get back to football season in the fall. Go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up today, and start winning. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, we're going to look at the game coming up, big Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to talk about some trends within the game itself. We're going to talk about how favorites do, underdogs do, just some overall personality of this game. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Hey, this is the Fat Jack, and you want to talk about a great start to 2023. It's like I've got Biff's book from Back to the Future, but I don't. I'm just that on fire. Go to FatJackSports.com and win this Super Bowl weekend. You'll get the predicted final score, the top prop bets, and most importantly, you'll make money during this key weekend of the year. FatJackSports.com. It's only $99 for football, or save a ton of money by getting a preseason package now. Go to FatJackSports.com to win.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds, and get primed for more profit every week with Bets and Breakfast, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. only on YouTube. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube. Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host. He's pretty super. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Listening in France. I'm able to see where people listen from. So they'll email me and say, yeah, I'm in Paris, listening to your show, getting ready for the games and stuff. I think it helps people overseas be more connected to what's going on in America.
Sure.
So that's Monster Williams didn't teach me much, but duh is 2. So segment number 2, ready for the big game coming up. Big weekend, Brandon, overall, no matter when you're listening to the show. The weekends have been incredibly profitable. Basketball has not lost over the weekend in 2023. Every Saturday, every Sunday, you combine them together, they've won every single week in 2023. There haven't been much that have lost. UFC has not been great to start the new year, but over the course of the year, the UFC stuff turns a profit about 4 out of every 5 weeks. So all that tells you is, because we've had a couple losing weeks to start 2023, means that there's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row of winning weekends in the UFC if history is our guide, and it is, because this is not the first year we've done this. So we're going on about year 6 or 7 in the UFC as well. So add those plays, save yourself a little bit of money. Big game coming up this weekend, Brandon, next on Sunday. Favorites, it's been real interesting on covering the spread versus straight up winners and kind of how the games have gone. And it really is a reflection of the parity in the league. So how have favorites performed in the Super Bowl? The favorites are 36-20 straight up, but only 27-27 and 2 against the spread. So we're dead even as far as covering the numbers. Overs and unders in the Super Bowl, almost as close as you can get also. 26 of the games have gone over, 28 of the games have gone under, and there's been 1 push. There wasn't a total in Super Bowl I, so that's when there's been totals. 26 over, 28 under, and 1 push. The point spread's not been important in the Super Bowl over the last 56 games. Straight up winners are 47-7 and 2 against the spread. So last year's was kind of an aberration. Last year you had the Rams beat Cincinnati. We had given out the Rams at 25-1 or whatever before the season, and they played Cincinnati in the final game, giving 4.5 points. And I told everybody who had bet the Rams, let's go ahead and hedge back. And it was one of the few times when you had a team win the game but not cover. Cincinnati covered the 4.5 but didn't win straight up, which was perfect for us, because you end up winning straight up on the futures bet, and then you end up covering on the 4.5. Now, if you didn't play the preseason, I had the Rams, but also the better play was on the total in the game. But that's one of the few times, and it was the first time a favorite had won but failed to cover since 2009.
Wow.
So what's that, 12, 13 years? Long and the short of it is, this year, it definitely is probably going to happen. You've got the games 1, 1.5, 2 at the most. So you're probably going to have another game where you have the team that wins covers the point spread. So, speaking to the parity of the league, this is the 15th straight Super Bowl where you have a favorite that's laying little less than a touchdown. And that's the longest streak in history. You've not had a favorite of more than a touchdown in the Super Bowl going back 15 years. What were you doing 15 years ago, Brandon?
I was in Vegas with you. I'm guessing that was the undefeated Patriots against the Giants. If I had to guess on a timeline,
it does not say, but probably.
I mean, because it would make sense, but
yeah, you're going to go back 15, 16. You're right. We were there at that point. Probably had the winner. Philadelphia 1-2 straight up and 2-1 against the spread as a franchise in the Super Bowl. So not a lot there to go off of. The Eagles are 25-1. We're 25-1 to win the preseason, which ranked 13th behind the Colts, the Broncos, the Rams, those type teams. And I gave everybody Philadelphia. This is one of those things, Brandon, that we don't talk about enough during the year. But this is now 2 years in a row at a combined 45-1 that I've gotten a team into the final game, which basically made you put money in your pocket no matter what.
Yep.
At the end of the year. You can't screw that up. So long and the short of it is, mark it on your calendars, guys. When I start coming on the air in August, and certainly get signed up because you get a lot more than just that. The futures bets on a lot of the teams that won a ton of money this year, those are sent out for free when you sign up for the year at fatjacksports.com. It's also another reason to sign up now because you don't have to worry about that. You're just going to get that sent to your email and text to you. It's going to come as part of your package. So you don't have to add it or worry about, do I wait until the first week of the game? Mm-hmm. When do I sign up? Is there going to be a special he's going to run? All that costs you money. You can do things right now, including pay out the service fee up to over 10 months that you're not going to be able to do in July, August, and September. So go to fatjacksports.com, get the season, because for the second year in a row, I've given you one of the teams that is at least the very minimum playing in the game, and frankly, the favorite in the game both times. And this one's 25-1. Was 25-1 in the preseason. I've rounded down 23-1 because the last time I sent it out, they had been bet down primarily a lot by my clients,
right,
from 25 to 23-1. I had gone on in Chicago and did their football fest and told everybody Philadelphia there. Had gone to Kansas City. They had a big thing. I could bring Philadelphia there. So a lot of these mid of the country markets, guys get my picks and they go up and bet them. It dropped to 23-1 based on that, and that team's in the game, and we're going to make more money off that. Jalen Hurts has had success against quality teams. This guy's been really, really good when he plays good teams. 7-0 straight up versus the teams in the playoffs.
Wow.
So he's been really, really good. Doesn't lose a lot to the teams in the playoff. Jalen Hurts will be the youngest quarterback to win the Super Bowl out of the NFC in the history of the league. Jared Goff was also 24, but a little bit older. He won it in 2019. So just a few facts about the Super Bowl, and primarily in Philadelphia, because that's who I gave out preseason. Eagles are 14-5 against the first half spread this season. So they've been covering in the first half as well. Doing really, really well. Just basically have been the best team in the NFC, start to bottom. Everybody goes through injuries. We talked about this last year with the Rams. You go through the season, you're going to have areas where you typically don't cover. The league has too much parity. But the Eagles have not been great against the spread on the year. They were 8-9 against the spread during the regular season. So, and that's typically
kind of surprising, honestly.
It is, and it's because they went through a period where everybody kind of got on board,
mm-hmm,
and then started betting them, and then they underperformed a little bit, as you'll get in the NFL through the course of the season, and then you had the period where Hurts was hurt. They had some injuries. They didn't cover a lot of those. So this will be only the third team to enter the postseason under 500 against the spread and then win the Super Bowl during the wild card era. The only two other teams that have done that didn't cover more times than not during the year. Both of these teams are under 500 covering the number this year. So this will be a team that went under 500 covering the number and then ends up winning the game. But the only other two teams that have done that during the wild card era, the 2013 Baltimore Ravens and last year's Los Angeles Rams, that also were under the against the spread under 500 in that game. So just a few things about the Super Bowl in general. So what are your thoughts on the game, Brandon? How do you think this thing's going to go?
I really think this is going to be very similar to the way the AFC Championship game went, to where it's going to be a points are at an absolute maximum. You're going to see both teams try a lot of fourth down conversions, and anytime that no one's going to not settle for field goals. I think that they understand that they've got to score every time they get the ball, and we're going to see a very tight, but albeit probably a low scoring game.
Well, what we've seen in the personality of the teams, and that's going to be an interesting deal when you talk about the prop bets.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said is interesting because you'll have these prop bets come out, and the personalities of these two teams are basically we're better than most of the teams we play for different reasons. Andy Reid is old school, he's crafty, he's grizzled, all those things, and this other dude literally probably needs medication. So, and that's fine. I relate to him. I really do. I mean, as much as I don't like Philadelphia fans,
wouldn't be friends with the dude, but yeah, see a lot of yourself in him.
Yeah, but I do. I see a lot of myself in him, and he's the type. He's just going to be like, whatever, WTF, let's get it, let's go for it, because he thinks they're better. So for different reasons. So when you look at prop bets during the game, you're like, okay, well, field goal attempts, field goals made, longest field goals made, all those type of things. You can kind of drill down, and we've been really good at that over the years when you get those prop bets, is finding one or two personalities of either the coaches or the teams, the philosophies, whatever, and drilling down and making 2 or 3 bets based on that and being able to make money.
In that aspect, sorry to interrupt you here, I did find one that does kind of echo the similarities that we're talking about here. DraftKings right now has any non-quarterback to have a touchdown pass. I mean, you're talking about a team that ran the Philly special last time they were in the Super Bowl, and then Andy Reid, who's had a fullback, a tight end, a defensive tackle throw touchdown passes. I mean, I feel like that one might be my favorite of all of them.
And playing Ring Around the Rosies during this. I mean, he's doing a lot of things, thinking outside the box. I think the one thing about Kansas City is that everybody's seen so much on them. You know, they've been very similar with the exception of Tyreek Hill moving on to Miami. This is a team that you kind of know what you have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Also, to your point with the trick plays, this is a team very, very deficient or limited in the receivers. They have a lot of injuries at receiver. The second half of that game, I also thought Roman did a good job of pointing out that they didn't have any playmakers on the field. I mean, basically, it's Kelsey who's being basically double to triple teamed every time, and then trying to find somebody who didn't have a lot of catches all year long. Now, obviously, some of their starters will be back by the time we get in the game, but mixing it up, keeping teams off balance, that's been one of the maturation parts of Andy Reid. He's done a really good job of not staying in his lane, doing the same thing. He's evolved as the game has evolved and his players have evolved.
And is one guy who is not afraid to pull the plug on something if it isn't working. And then also, mid-game, we'll be able to recognize matchups or, hey, this keeps working. Let's keep going after it. So
yeah,
he's not afraid to abandon the script.
Kansas City Chiefs 2-2 straight up, 2-2 against the spread, franchise history in the Super Bowl. Chiefs were 10-1 to win the Super Bowl preseason, which was third behind the Buffalo Bills and Tampa Bay, which I, for literally 3 years now, have been beating the drum. It's one of those eventually I'm going to get to say I told you so with Tom Brady.
Right.
I mean, I kept yelling, Father Time's get caught up, Father Time's going to get him, and then he won the Super Bowl. I looked stupid. And then the next year, caught up a little bit. Now this year, finally it caught up. But yeah, Tampa Bay was second choice to win the Super Bowl heading into the season. Kansas City preseason odds to win the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, they've always been really, really good. They were 10-1 this year, and that's because of Tyreek Hill, some of the question marks, and the difficult schedule they had to start the season. 20-21, they were 4.5-1, 6-1 in 2019, and 30-1 in 2018. So people Kansas City's not a fluke that they're here, obviously. Everybody knows that. But this is a team that the betting public has been on for the better part of 5 or 6 since before COVID, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Super Bowl year, they were a very popular team going into that game. So
yeah, he's just they're an easy team to bet on. The general public, and by the way, the people in Kansas who have not been rewarded with betting on Kansas City this year, 5-12 against the spread during the course of the season. That's a hard lesson to learn when you're a new gambler in the state of Kansas. But I mean, that's what every state does. Chicago goes out and when Illinois first opened up sports betting. The Bears were going to win the Super Bowl. Asked everybody in Chicago, and they put their money on it. And ended up, the casino said, "Thank you, may I have another?"
Yeah.
Kansas went through that this year. So, but they've been making up for it a little bit in the playoffs here, especially if they've been my client. They've been really making up for it. So, Kansas City closed the favorite against Philadelphia. The Chiefs would be favored in the 16th straight playoff game, but they're probably not going to do that.
That is an amazing stat, and really goes to show the success that Kansas City has had, is that Patrick Mahomes has never been an underdog in a playoff game.
And that's why, by the way, that that they keep winning and not covering, because you get no value with him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get any value with Patrick Mahomes and with Kansas City at all, and they're always a favorite. The last time this Kansas City Chiefs team was a favorite was Week 6. They were an underdog and they lost to Buffalo. So he's not an underdog very often, and it does look like he's going to be an underdog here. So the good news is that he's hardly ever an underdog if you're Kansas City. The bad news is when he's an underdog, I say typically, it hasn't happened that much.
Right.
But very, very interesting toss-up type game. Mahomes as a favorite of 3 points or less, or as an underdog in his career, though, 18-6-1 against the spread. So although last time they lost as an underdog, most of the time when you give him points, he is going to make you pay for it. So over the course of Patrick Mahomes' career, because, they're just really, really good. So we're going to talk about after the break more about the game, more about some prop bets. How am we doing on time?
We need to get to a break because, I feel like the props are because the game is so tight and there isn't a ton of value with some of those bets. Props are going to have to be where we're going to make some profit. And I'm entering a props contest for the Super Bowl.
It's super hard to have a show on the Super Bowl, not give out the Super Bowl winners on the show.
Yeah. This
has been the most boring show we've ever done to this point.
Should have patted yourself on the back more.
Golly, that's boring too. People don't want to hear. I need to come up with a story. There's a story. I'm sure something happened this week.
Yeah.
I need to figure it out, and we just talk about that, because so far this has been a lot. If you're a football fan, if you listen to ESPN radio after us, you're loving this crap, because you're getting all the stuff they're going to give you. Basically, breaking the game, drilling down deep, no personality. Welcome to ESPN radio, I suppose, because normally people tune into this and they're getting something a little bit better than that, or worse, depending on your point of view
and the time of day.
But different than that for sure. And so far this has been bush,
pretty vanilla. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
So much information. What do I have? I'm gonna think of it on the break. So we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna give away a story for sure. We're going to talk about a couple of prop bets. We're going to get you ready to make some money. Go get signed up at FatJackSports.com if you're betting this weekend. A lot of you be running to a state around. If you don't live in a state that has sports gambling, you're going to run to a state that has sports gambling. So you should do that. Sign up. If you're in Oklahoma, drive to Kansas. If you're in California, drive across the border to Nevada. Wherever you are. If you're in Kentucky, drive across the river. Go to Indiana. But this weekend, make some money. I'll be able to help you do that for sure. We don't lose over Super Bowl weekend, at least not in recent history. So we're going to turn another profit this weekend. Be sure and join us.
If you're looking for more action this week, Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. With multi-sport prop entries, you can mix and match your action every day from almost anywhere in the country. Sign up with promo code FATJACK and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's $100 when you sign up with promo code FATJACK. Go to prizepicks.com or download the app and sign up with promo code FATJACK to get in on the action today. Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And for the final time this football season, here is our host ready to turn you profit this weekend and every football weekend. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3, wrapping up the Super Bowl edition of the show. We're going to be in Vegas this week, this Super Bowl weekend. Are you excited about it? What are you most looking forward to, Brandon?
Honestly, just getting out of town and seeing how much money we can make this weekend, because I am entering, Jack, a contest at the Westgate. It is a props contest. And I feel like I have a good shot at winning this dang thing.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So you go through how many do you have to pick? How much is it?
It's $100 entry, and it's 30. They pick the 30 props that you have to enter, and it's like a punch card type deal where you go and it's like over, under, yes, whatever. And yeah, so I like that it's that kind of standardized format, and take on all comers, and you can enter as many times as you want. I'm only going to do one because I'm the type of person that will only do one fantasy team. I'm the type of person that will only do one NCAA bracket. I don't want to be the guy that's be like, oh, well, I got 26 right in this one, and then I got 12 right in this one. I'm not that person.
That's a waste of money.
Yeah,
there's no reason to do it. There will be people. It's like people who go into the lottery and buy 100 tickets. I mean, if you're meant to win the lottery, buy one ticket and see what happens. But you buy 100, you just look stupid.
Yes, firmly agree.
I mean, you're not gonna manhandle the lottery. It's not playing 25-cent, 50-cent poker when you walk up with $1,000, try to run over every pot. I mean, if you've got it, enter it and win. If not, don't. A couple of the props that I like, and by the way, go to fatjacksports.com. Look at the results tab. That's all you need to do. Go to fatjacksports.com. Apply common sense, please. Ask yourself the tough questions. Why is he selling picks? Ask the things that everybody else does. By the way, I love it. The fact that we are literally nobody's hotter in the world. I mean, just 24-3, dialed in, basketball's win, and crickets online. I love Twitter, by the way. I ever told you how much I love Twitter? We love it. I mean, nobody, not one word. I mean, I have one or two guys put up, and I don't want them to put up something. I don't do it for attaboys.
We're not here for clicks.
I don't care about clicks, clearly. You look at my click total, you'll see I don't care about that. But I do think it's funny, the amount of haters. I did have somebody that emailed me from California. I'm not going to say. It's just the people are stupid. I mean, really. Just some of them are just so stupid. I mean, we had lost in months. I said, I just love the fact that you're putting up these fake results. How's that work, Brand? I've been doing this 27 years with clients in all 50 states. You're not going to find one thing on any platform that says I'm lying about things.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
And honestly, if someone were to provide a screenshot that says, hey, you said you did this and you didn't, no, that doesn't happen.
Please, I invite that.
Right. Be the first.
But you would be the first because it doesn't happen. Everybody gets the same picks. They're sent out automatically. They're posted and documented on the website. That's the business model. I'm betting those games. That's it. That's why you don't have 500 people on Google saying, Google Vegas Dave or Google some of these other idiots that lie to everybody about everything.
That dude. Good.
And see what comes up. They're going to show you how he lies, different category, different whatever. And by the way, if he's out there listening, go ahead and bring it. I'll be in Vegas. You know what? I got nothing but time.
He'll need a couple of chairs to stand on.
He should pack a lunch and bring some of those purses he's got because I literally am not in the mood. But you won't see any of that when you Google me because we're not lying. We're telling the truth. But nobody says nice things. This is not a world where people say nice things. They only say bad things for the most part, unless you solicit nice things. There are a couple guys out there that they'll solicit, say, hey, send me your pictures of your tickets and that kind of stuff. And they make that part of their form. And I should probably do that, but I'm not going to. Anyway.
It feels weird to crowdsource praise.
It really does. I don't do it for that. But apply common sense is the point. Go there, apply common sense. I sell plays because I basically bet the same games myself, and I don't see any reason not to. I give you the exact same games I'm playing. I ask you to go play those. If you do, you're going to make money. And then you go to the results tab, so you're getting only the best plays, and you'll see the exact record of the plays you received to your email, to your texting, or to your portal on the website, that's your personal portal. You'll be able to see all that. You'll see that you're getting the same picks everybody else is, and you're winning if you want to win. And if you have any other version of that, you're an idiot because that's all we're doing. That's what's going on. Everybody's getting the same plays. Well, I'm betting them, posting them, document them. They're all right there. So fatjacksports.com if you want to win. Package prices are only determined by how long you sign up. Travis Kelce over receptions, Brandon. I'm going to ride that train until it rolls off the tracks because the healthier Patrick Mahomes the more passes he's going to get. The receiving core for Kansas City is not going to get any deeper to where Patrick Mahomes is going to love anybody else more than they do Kelce. Yep. And as long as he and any type of healthy receiving core is going to make them have to at least think about not double and triple teaming Kelce every time they snap the ball. And even with that philosophy, he still is going over every game. He's getting 7, 8 because they get him the ball so many different ways. So I'm over with Kelsey on receptions for sure. You have any prop bets that are jumping out that you don't want that you'll give out here that you aren't going to be losing the contest because you give away on the air?
Both kickers over 1.5 made field goals. Both Harrison Butker and Jake Elliott, strong legs, can connect from deep, and like I said, points are going to be at a premium. Guys are going to say, "Hey, we're gonna kick a field goal here instead of going for 4th and 6." Also, Chris Stapleton over national anthem.
Yeah, you know what? For the first year, in probably
since I've known you, which is, we're going on 20 years here.
20 years, I am probably not going to release the time of the I've been so good at prop bets and so good at the game. Right. I don't like losing early.
Yeah, before the game even kicks off.
And I can't seem to figure out how long these people are going to sing. I'm trying. But it seems like what I think they're going to go under, they go over. What I think they're going to go over, they're going to go under. I don't know what Chris Table's going to do. Is he going to be drunk? Does he drink before? I know he probably does.
I mean, he's got a song called Tennessee Whiskey, but I believe that he no longer drinks.
So he's probably on the – does that help? I don't know if that even helps the total. I don't know. I'm clearly bad at it. It's been the one thing I could consistently lose at. Even the coin toss.
Yeah, heads, tails.
Which is just a coin toss I'm pretty good at. And not just going with tails never fails. I've figured out how to do that. By the way, did I tell you that Katie Ross called me last week?
From London? No.
London. I didn't tell you. She called me and said, Daddy, she's 20, by the way, studying abroad. I said, Daddy, are the 69ers going to make the Super Bowl this year? And I said, no.
I'm pretty sure they won't, right?
No. In fact, the 69ers have no chance of making the Super Bowl. Now, what they might be doing is having something to to compete against the Puppy Bowl on one of the pay-per-view channels. I can see that happening. But no, the 69ers were definitely not going to make the Super Bowl. So neither are the 49ers, but I didn't have the heart to tell it. Somebody said a long time ago, good luck with her. And not a truer statement has ever been spoken.
The fact that she showed some interest in the game, though, has got to warm your heart a tad.
Somebody had to ask her. Somebody had to say,
knows who you are and be like, ask your dad what he thinks.
That's what it is. Somebody called her from LA or wherever over there. They know what I do. And they said, hey, call your dad and see who's going to win this weekend if the 49ers are going to. And she, of course, turned that by the time she picked up the phone into the 69ers. So
makes sense.
Good luck with her. So how are we doing on time?
Got about a minute.
All right. So final thoughts, not only the football season as a whole, and I know it's been great. We have to go over that, but you're looking forward to the spring. I know there's a lot going on. We've got the IFL or whatever, the new football league coming up.
The XFL and the USFL both kick off in the next 6 weeks.
So stay tuned for that. Be sure to listen to the show on that for maybe some selections, maybe not. We'll see. But final thoughts on the football season as a whole and as we head into the spring.
Obviously, the way it's closing has been very impressive, and also loving the fact that a pick given to us in August still relevant going into this weekend.
That's so much fun, right? I mean, 2 years in a row, we're getting spoiled on a lot of this stuff. This year, again, it was really, if you had to, because you're going to have good weeks and bad weeks, but we had a really, really strong start to the year, gave out plays in August that are still cashing tickets to this day. And then the last month, nothing and nobody in the world has been hotter than we are. So really couldn't draw it up a lot better. Basketball is going to be great as well. We'll be back here next week with a brand new edition of the Fat Jack Sports Hour. So, guys, wager responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Enjoy your weekend, whether it's the week before, the week of the Super Bowl. Have some fun and make some money if you can. Until next week, for Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds, and get primed for more profit every week with Bets and Breakfast, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. only on YouTube. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.